So here we are back at communism. Our president, he just won't stop taking us back to the 50s and the 60s when we're trying to progress and move forward. He continued to stoke fear, division, and hatred. So listen at this speech at the 250th anniversary of our country.
Is a loser, and it always will be. And all these talks from the communists, they haven't got a chance. Not even a chance. We don't want communists in our country. America will never be a communist country. Won't happen. Communism is a loser, and it always will be. The communist system is the opposite of the American system, and the communist system has never worked. Our warriors did not fight communism on battlefields across the world, only to have that menace rear its ugly head right back here in America. We're not going to let it happen. We like to stop a threat like that immediately and before it begins. It's like a cancer. You got to cut it out. You got to cut it out fast. Americans must never forget that we are a historic and heroic people with a heroic spirit and a heroic purpose on this beautiful earth of ours. We are made of the courage and the fire and the flesh and the blood of the best and the bravest people this world has ever produced. We are the bravest and the best. Unlike so many others in the world, in this country, we have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, equal justice under the law, although I wasn't treated that well, but we won't get into that. And the right to keep and bear arms. And for the almost 6 years that I was president, I guarded very, very powerfully your Second Amendment, and they didn't do a thing to it, and it was not easy. But we guard your Second Amendment. And as our Declaration of Independence tells us, we are all made in the image of one Almighty God.
So I stop it right there. So he say the last thing he said, we are all made in the image of our Almighty God. But we still have racism in this country. We have two judicial systems, rich and poor, and you can break it down and include racism in there. He talked about communism being a loser. Through this video, by the end of the video, I show that communism is not losing. He said it never worked. And we have freedom of speech, which he is doing everything to make sure. An example would be with Don Lemon trying to quiet people who go against what he believes in. And freedom of religion. These are topics that they are not 100% exercised in our country. So I want to start with Dr. Martin Luther King with this issue of communism. And they call Dr. Martin Luther King a communist, which eventually led to his death. So I want to read an excerpt here. As King fame and stature grew over the next several years, the FBI intensified its surveillance of him under its domestic counterintelligence program known as COINTELPRO, arguing it was a matter of national security. Okay? They have convinced everybody in our country that Dr. Martin Luther King is a communist. While the Bureau failed to prove this under relentless scrutiny, this investigation revealed no communist leaning. It did turn up evidence of King's extramarital affair. Hoover and his agents then tried to leverage that information not only to discredit and weaken King as a leader of the civil rights movement, but to blackmail him into taking his own life. So these are the confusions that they cause. So as soon as you show oppositions towards leadership, they're going to put an investigation out on you, not to find the thing that they was looking for, but in hopes of finding something else to destroy your credibility and your reputation. So after meditating on this and trying to understand, why do they bring up division? These are the only tactics that they have to win. So they feel like the only way to win is to divide the country, create hate, fear, and scare the people. But this is a tactic that has already been proven, that we've already lived through. Why do we want to go back and live through the argument of communism again? So communism led to the Vietnam War. So let's take a look at that. The Vietnam War began due to a combination of colonial legacies, nationalist movement, ideological conflicts between communism and anti-communism, and the Cold War geopolitics. So let's talk about the Vietnam War. That was another war where a lot of people died. A lot of people were killed, all because the colonialism wants you to believe their way of life, and communism is bad. How can we say communism is bad and these people are flourishing? They have a vibrant life and community. It's all designed to keep us fighting each other. So what I like to take a look at is to show the uproar and how unstable our country was during this time of the Vietnam War and the protest and everything that was going on in our country, and how terrible it was.
Voices of those objecting to U.S. involvement in Vietnam were getting louder. In May of 1970, 4 students were killed by National Guard troops during a campus protest at Kent State University in Ohio. Borg learned of the incident while he was on the air reading the news in Cedar Rapids.
And I thought, boy, this is getting out of hand. These student demonstrations are getting out of hand. I don't blame the National Guardsmen. They're trying to keep the peace, but the students have overstepped bounds, and who's at fault here? But we've got to get some order back in the United States, because we're fighting a war in South Vietnam, and yet we can't keep the peace in our own country.
Student unrest in the Hawkeye State reached its peak that same month. Borg spent several nights on the University of Iowa campus covering the events as they unfolded. One evening, Borg was covering police preparing to arrest some of the protesters. And as the battle lines were drawn, he turned on a battery-powered spotlight mounted on his camera.
Within 3 seconds, there was a policeman with a club raised, racing toward me. Turn off that light! You know, and I could see that billy club coming down over my head if I hadn't extinguished that light very quickly. I think I felt more danger right there that night in that incident than I had in Vietnam.
Bob Birchfield was attending the University of Iowa when Borg was covering campus unrest. The Iowa City transplant was often found on the opposite side of the police lines.
We wanted to make it clear that business as usual could not go on. You know, you could have a mass protest during the day, a huge rally on the Pennant Crest, very little reporting of it. It took action in the streets and getting the police to come out to get coverage of the anti-war effort. And we were trying to show that you're upset about a rock going through a glass window, but you're not upset about people dying and killing in Vietnam.
Mirroring unrest at Berkeley, Columbia, and Wisconsin, the events in Iowa City were getting volatile that spring, and university officials opted to let students go home before the end of the semester. While many protesters stridently and at times violently demonstrated their opposition to the war, other young people voiced their disapproval in more peaceful ways. In 1965, Mike Smith from rural Dallas County received his draft notice and a 1A classification card indicating he was fit for duty.
I just tore that induction notice in about 4 pieces and tore my draft card and I think there were 2 cards we had, a 1A classification card. I tore them into a couple pieces and put them in an envelope, mailed them to the Dallas County Draft Board.
Hoping to keep their son out of legal trouble, Smith's parents persuaded the Dallas County Draft Board to reclassify him as 4F, indicating he was unfit for service.
I felt like I was dodging the draft. I didn't want to dodge the draft, I wanted to resist the draft. And so I tore those cards up and mailed them to the draft board. They lost their patience at that point and they contacted the U.S. Attorney's Office. I was ordered to report for a physical, I didn't. I was ordered to report for induction, I didn't. And then the U.S. Attorney charged me with 2 counts, failing to report for a physical and failing to report for induction.
Smith pled guilty to both charges and was sentenced to 4 years in the federal prison at Sandstone, Minnesota. However, after serving 22 months, he was released.
I wasn't a pacifist. I'm not a pacifist now. I haven't changed my views. I think the war was a terrible mistake. And at the same time, I have great respect for those who served.
So, as you can see, we fought this battle already about communism, and which led to the Vietnam War. Okay, so we're not trying to repeat that history. We're trying to move forward. And of course, China has, they are under communist rule, as we know. But China is very, very vibrant. In our president's speech, he said that it's a loser and it has never worked. So what I'm going to do is leave you with these shorts of China to show you how amazing their country is and how they are very productive. Cities are very vibrant, very beautiful. So communism is not our issue, okay? It's bad people in leadership roles is our issue. So don't get it misinformed. It doesn't matter what the political system is, whether it's socialism, communism, Marxism, capitalism. All these systems works. They all work. What make it a bad system is when you have bad people leading the system. If you have tyrants, evil, wicked men leading any one of these political systems, it will be a bad system. But if you have good people with integrity, class, those systems will run smoothly, taking care of their people. And so I want to show you communism in China.
To Chongqing, China, 神秘边城，魅力秀山。
神秘邊城，魅力秀山。
Mysterious border city, charming mountain. Welcome to.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Shanghai. Step into China's world of advanced transportation and stunning architecture. Join me as we explore Shanghai's vibrant cityscape under the evening lights.
These 3 Chinese buildings will make you think China's already living in 2050. No joke. First, the ladder building. Ever seen a building that climbs like stairs? This one's shaped like a giant jointed ladder stretching into the sky. Each floor steps back just a little, like it's ascending on its own. It's not just creative. It's pure architectural poetry in steel and glass. Second, the underwater museum. Yes, China built a cultural park under the water. Only the roof peeks out. Beneath it, 800 underwater parking spots and exhibitions showing ancient traditions. It's called Guangfalin Park in Shanghai, and it looks like a lost city rising from a lake. Third, the vertical city. 30,000 people, one building, not just homes. It has restaurants, gyms, high schools, and even roads inside the complex. Scooters deliver groceries without ever going outdoors. It's a skyscraper that lives like a city, literally. These 3
So, you get the point. Let us not get pulled back into hate, division, and these concepts that pull us apart. Our problem is with bad people running our country. We don't want to be living in the past. It's time to move forward, be progressive, and include and create a government that's inclusive of all people. He said it in his speech. We are all made in the image of God. So why can't we have a country that rule in that manner? We're moving forward, not backwards. This president is bad for the country, and it's time to move forward. Thank you. Like and subscribe. I bring more of this information to you.